Well, here we go with the dramatic recreation of making a lacing hole. So first off, we take this handy dandy awl, which is actually part of my medieval eating kit. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to use the awl to poke the hole, and you're going to see just how efficient this awl is at doing this. Now I don't want to poke too far because I don't want the hole to be too big. So the first thing we're going to do is, of course, anchor our thread, and I'm going to do that by actually going up from below, and this is double thread because lace holes take a lot of wear and tear, so I like to double up the thread. And then I'm actually going to go through the loop, catch that knot, and seat that knot here on the underside. Okay. And now what we're going to do, whenever you're doing lace holes, you will probably have to use your awl to open up the lace hole as you go around the first layer of stitching, which in this case is going to be a whip stitch. We are going to do a simple whip stitch around the hole to catch everything together, anchor the hole open, and then once we have it all nice and anchored open with a simple whip stitch, we can then go about with the prettier button stitch, which will also add firmness and create a sort of fabric ring. Now, you want to make certain, which is why you notice I keep flipping it upside down to check, you want to make certain that you get through all of the layers and not that you don't miss one of the layers with the whip stitches. And a whip stitch, for those who don't know, is where you just go around and around and around. So let us whip. And I'm actually using the whip stitches to catch the tail of my thread, the tails that were on the other side of the knot, so that everything gets contained within the whip stitches, so that it makes it much less likely that your knot will come undone, that the thread will slip through if it's all anchored under. Okay, well, that's hideous, but that's okay. For the purposes of demonstration, it's fine, and it's not going to matter because we're about to cover this up. So our next phase, now that we've anchored our hole open, so at this point you shouldn't really need to awl anymore. This is the point there where you can say to yourself, well, actually, I want the hole to be a little bigger, and you can make it a little bigger now. And then once you've done your buttonhole stitches, that's it, it's done. So for the buttonhole stitch, I am going to come up to just the outside of where I placed my whip stitches. And then I'm going to go down right next to where I came up on the same side. And I'm going to make a little horseshoe. You can see how that's twisted. The thread is twisted. I'm going to come up behind it, and then I'm going to pull that knot that it's going to create towards the center, tangential to the line of this circle, sort of across its diameter, as it were, and put that in the center, not around the edge. If you pull it back this way and put it around the edge, you'll open your hole up and make it bigger, which I guess if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But I really want that ridge that this is going to create, this buttonhole stitch is going to create, I want that ridge in the center of the hole acting like a fabric grommet, basically. So again, I come around the back, create that loop, and then pull it forward. And then just keep going. And I thought I would go back and just clarify. So I'm working in a clockwise direction. So when I say go around the back to catch it, what I mean is I come around so I've come up through the center. I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to basically go through this loop from the outside of the circle straight into the center of the circle. And that basically kind of catches this and causes it to twist and create a little knot that then gets seated at the base.
And of course, it's about here that technology utterly fails me. My mic stops recording. The joys of being a one-person production team mean that there was no one to tell me that. So we're going to do a recreational voiceover for this section. Note that if you are working with white thread, you should wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water before you start sewing with it, otherwise you will turn it gray, as I have done here. The oils on our skin naturally collect detritus from the environment, and that transfers perfectly onto white silk thread. Once you get all the way around and you have completed your ring, we will now proceed to the next step, namely finishing this baby. Okay, so now we're going to take our needle down through the center and bring it to the back side. We will form a knot here on the back. And then we're going to bury the needle and therefore also bury the thread by going through multiple of the stitches that we've laid along the back of the eyelet stitches, and then pulling the needle through to use those eyelet stitches to hold it securely in place. And now we're going to actually, if we were working on a row of eyelets at this point, I would actually just go between the lining and the shell fabric to come up to the next spot where I need to start my next eyelet, thereby not having to create a new anchor stitch, and also creating more security in the thread between the various eyelets because it's less likely to break or fray or snap in between those layers. And that's how you make an eyelet from medieval to modern. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Otherwise, until next time, stay creative, guys. Bye.